Good morning, everyone. Thank you, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living here in beautiful San Clemente. That was a tribute to our beloved Glenn Campbell this morning. And we'd like you to join us with a stand-up song called Stand. This is by Karen Drucker, and we got our words there. We are ready to go. Let there be joy coming up.
Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now.
All right, I'd like to introduce our musicians to you this morning. We have Ed Cusby on guitar, Bill Dixon on bass, David Page on drums. Our song leaders are Wade and Kimberly Woldridge. Our soloist this morning is the beautiful Jennifer Trevor. I'm Diane King Van over here on the keys. And now it's your turn to stand up and join us on another sing-along song. This is like I call old school, wonderful, new thought. I love myself the way I am.
Love myself the way I am. There's nothing nothing I need to change. I'll always be the perfect me. There's nothing to rearrange. I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. So I love myself just the way I am. I love you the way you are. There's nothing you need to do. When I feel love inside myself, it's easy to love you. Behind your fears, your rage and tears, I see you're shining strong. And I love you just the way you are.
And now it's time to meet and greet your neighbor. Time to sing another verse. I love the world the way it is.
I love the world the way it is, 'cause I can clearly see that all the things I judge are done by people just like me. So till the birth of peace on earth that only love
and bring, it's not on, I'll help it grow by loving everything.
One more chorus and a key change.
I love myself the way I am, and still I want to grow. But change outside can only come when deep inside I know I'm beautiful and capable of being the best me I can. And I love myself just the way I am. I love myself just the way I am. Good morning. Woo! Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living and to our center this morning. Wow, this is great. Great energy, beautiful people. We are a center that honors all religious paths, all practices, and we are just absolutely blessed that you have chosen to be with us today to serve your spiritual needs. So we start every Sunday with the Flames of Faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the candle for Islam, honoring the path of compliance with the will of God as the highest calling. We light the candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And as practitioner Marlene Kuckler lights the last candle, let it represent the path that brought you here this morning. And please join me in prayer. Let's know this truth together, that there is only that one life, that one love, that one presence, that one energy. And it is all-knowing, all-powerful, and right where we are, for we are its expression. Each one of us here is a divine expression of the one, unique, beautiful, and absolutely one with the one. And so what I know and declare is that this time together is absolutely God ordained. Each one here is here on purpose. Each one is here open and receptive to a gift of our time together, a gift through our community by means of the music, the message, the fellowship, the love. Each one here is lifted up, inspired, and absolutely filled with joy and peace and harmony and wholeness. I'm just grateful for this time together, for each one here. For Spirit, oh beautiful Spirit that makes everything so. And so I simply let go. I know my word has been spoken and therefore is done. And please join me in saying, and so it is. And now I'd like to introduce up to the platform one of our newest practitioners, Donna Wallace.
Good morning. I'd like you to join me in reading the affirmation. I'll read it once and then you get to share with me. I accept my and others' humanity with compassion. I accept our spiritual truth with conviction and faith. I accept my and others' humanity with compassion. I accept our spiritual truth with conviction and faith. And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And please welcome Jennifer Trevor.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be with you always. When I get to spend time with you, I feel like I leave with a dose of vitamin G, which Goldie Hawn pegged as vitamin gratitude, of course, in her book. I wanted to share with you briefly before I sing. I canceled my cable. I'm one of those on that mission lately, trying to quiet the noise. And so I've been doing a lot more reading. And I just finished Walk Like a Buddha, which is a fantastic read. And it led me to this book, Living Beautifully, which I also recommend. I'm just going through my library and picking things out of the universal religion section. And so I wanted to share with you really briefly before I sing this song. The song is called Happy People. It's by a band called Little Big Town. And it's a little bit of a campy country song, so forgive me if you're not a country fan. But I highly encourage you to watch the video if you're bored on YouTube. It's hard to watch it without smiling because it conveys people that seem truly happy. And in this book, the author talks about a book she read. And I just wanted to read briefly, if you'll indulge me. But she was reading a book called My Stroke of Insight, which I want to read next, by Jill Bolt Taylor. She'd recovered from a massive stroke, and she explains this physiological mechanism behind emotion, an emotion like anger, for instance, that's an automatic response, lasts just 90 seconds. You've probably already shared this with everybody, but it lasts just 90 seconds from the moment it's triggered until it runs its course. 1.5 minutes, that's all. When it lasts any longer, which it usually does, it's because we've chosen to rekindle it. I didn't realize emotion physically only lasted 90 seconds. I didn't know that. That's fascinating to me. And it brought to mind an image of a hotel. Like my mind is a hotel, a Hawaiian hotel that doesn't have any walls. You know, those open hotels. And my mind is like the foyer, and something comes in, an emotion comes in. And for 90 seconds, I am powerless to do anything about it except maybe embrace it and sit down and have a cup of tea. But whether it stays, whether I put it up in a room is totally my choice. And so it makes you wonder, who's living in the hotel of your mind? Who are you giving refuge to in terms of emotion? I'm a very sensitive soul. I'm an artist. I create songs, you know, but I think that there are emotions living in my hotel that I've hung on to that probably don't serve me. And so I'm going room to room, sort of looking at that with all my free time, not watching cable news. And so this song, though simple and campy, talks about how happy people don't cheat, happy people don't lie, they don't judge, they don't hold a grudge, they don't criticize, happy people don't hate, happy people don't steal, they don't fail, they just learn. Happiness is a choice. It's an emotion you can invite into your hotel mind. And so I just wanted to frame it that way for you before we sing it. And if you need to do some, I see a lot of dancing happening. So if you need to do a little two-step with somebody in the aisle, please feel free. Oh, sorry.
Happy people don't cheat. Happy people don't lie. They don't hold a judge or hold a grudge. They don't criticize. Happy people don't hate. Happy people don't steal. 'Cause all the hurt sure ain't worth all the guilt they feel. If you want another secret, you can't buy it, gotta make it. You ain't ever gonna be it by taking someone else's away. So never take it for granted. You don't have to understand it. So here's to whatever puts a smile on your face. Whatever makes you happy, people. Happy people don't fail. Happy people just learn. They don't think they're above the push and shove. They just wait their turn. And they've always got a hand or a dollar to spare. They know what you're going through. They know the golden rule, even if they've never been there. So if you want to know the secret, you can't buy it, gotta make it. You ain't ever gonna be it by taking someone else's away. So never take it for granted. You don't have to understand it. Here's to whatever puts a smile on your face. Whatever makes you happy, people. Ooh, 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 ooh. These days ain't always easy to find. They're the ones that you want standing by your side. No time for greed. If they need some, just give them a slice, and we'd all be happy people. Yeah. Well, life is short and love is rare. We all deserve to be happy while we're here. If you want to know the secret, you can't buy it, gotta make it. You ain't ever gonna be it by taking someone else's away. Never take it for granted. You don't have to understand it. Here's to whatever puts that smile on your face. Whatever makes you happy, people. yeah. Whatever makes you happy, people, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you so much, Jennifer Trevor. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And please welcome Reverend Heather Dawn Clark.
Thank you. And thank you, Jennifer. That was wonderful. I love to see you dancing as you were singing. You look so joyful. My message today is on acceptance. And before I get into my PowerPoint, Jill Bolte Taylor's book, we used to carry, I don't know if we still have it in the bookstore, but someone will know. And also you can go to YouTube and watch her TED Talks. And her TED Talks are amazing because she knew what was happening when she had her stroke. She knew, but she couldn't do anything. Her body wouldn't cooperate. So it's brilliantly written and really insightful. And yes, what we believe and what we know and what we practice is that everything that happens to us happens through us. Our consciousness is always producing effect. It's always producing conditions. Our consciousness comes from our thought and our feeling. And not just exactly what Jennifer just said, that those feelings, if nurtured and if nurtured, continue to express through us, even though the emotion themselves is only 90 seconds. And when you think about it, you know that the things that go on in your monkey mind, where your monkey mind takes you, could have happened years ago, or at least months ago, or weeks ago, and you're still bringing it forward. Anita and I have a mutual friend that something happened last December that she's still talking about as if it happened yesterday. So you know what? It's up to you. It is up to me how much we drag the past into the present. And that all being said, it was difficult for me to be present this morning because when I went to Facebook to write my one post for the week, which is on my personal page, I got into some of the current events that I would rather not have gotten into. But on the other hand, I'm glad I did. So, because I do want to talk about it. When I was teaching junior high school in Edmonton, so that's a long time ago, maybe 40 years ago. And yes, I am old enough to have. So I was teaching at a very upscale neighborhood. And not only that, this school, this junior high was like the feeder school for the high schools that taught international baccalaureate programs. So every parent who wanted their kids to do well academically wanted their kids in that school. And so much so that before the sixth graders, when they were registering, the parents would line up the night before with their sleeping bags and sleep on the sidewalk so that they would be first to register for the school. It was just ridiculous. It was ridiculous. But because the parents were so motivated, many of the students were motivated. But it's the first time I got an education from one of my grade 8 boys. I also had him in grade 9 about neo-Nazism. And I always did journals with my English classes. And in their journals, they were allowed to write whatever they wanted, and they could even draw pictures. His were always guns and always machine guns. And I'm thinking, this kid has no clue because he's drawing these little tiny machine guns that you can put in a pocket. That's how dumb I was, because I was still thinking that machine guns were huge and you know, to carry them around. But he knew his guns, and he was always showing pictures of people being slaughtered, mostly his parents and other teachers. He didn't ever put me in that, but it was really disturbing. And we didn't have a counselor at that little school. It was so small and so academic. There was no counselor to talk to about him. And so I would write notes in his journal. That's about all. But when I heard about the white supremacists and the protest against them, it brought all of that back. And the Buddha's message, hatred always begets hatred. Peace never comes through hatred. We can never get to that level of consciousness from the other level of consciousness. So if we're at the level of consciousness of violence, violence always begets more violence. And that means for us, we need to be willing to do what we know to do, to take hold of our thoughts, think happy thoughts, be happy people, be the people who are choosing a life that is peace-filled, that is grace-filled, that is joyful. And so now I can get to my, Ernest Holmes says a lot of things about this topic, but he says it in a way. Okay. Oh. Many of you know this. Please read it with me. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. While we're talking about accepting what is, this seems to me where we needed to start. The courage to accept the things I cannot change. Now, here's the thing. Ernest Holmes would say, we believe that conditions are subject to this divine mind. So there isn't a condition, and everything's a condition. We can't even see cause. Cause comes from within. It's within us. It's our consciousness. That's cause. So everything we look at is a condition. However, here's the other caveat about it. We can only change ourselves. We cannot change other people, although we can definitely pray for peace on earth and peace in the United States and peace everywhere. It will absolutely lift the consciousness. And when we say this, serenity to accept the things I cannot change, we have to look at it closely and ask ourselves the difficult question, well, what is it that I cannot change with my consciousness? What is it that I cannot change with my consciousness, since consciousness is everything and consciousness is creating out of itself? So when we come to the title, that accepting what is, let's look at it from 2 points of view. First of all, from the relative point of view, from what we see out there. So what is? And accepting what is our human experience. And why we would want to do that, because it allows us to see ourselves and each other through the eyes of love. I also like it before I go into the resistance, which I think is quite funny. Before I go into that, when we're seeing ourselves and each other through the eyes of love, it allows us to choose new ideas, to choose a new way to perceive things. So at the human level, it also moves us out of resistance, which just creates more of the same of whatever we are resisting. So those of you who were in for the beginning of the meditation, this was quite funny, because I had chosen a certain chant. I told Josh the chant. He had set it up, and then just as he was ready to play it, I looked at Albert and thought, nope, I don't want that chant. I want another chant. And so I said the other chant, We got another chant, but it wasn't the one I asked for. So then he went back to the original one, which was logical, which wasn't the one I was asking for. And I thought, what am I feeling? I'm feeling resistance. But I set it up in the first place. I set it up by my change in plans from the front of the room to the back of the room. So I thought, well, that's really interesting since I'm going to talk about resistance a little bit. Resistance just causes more of whatever we're resisting to come into our experience. So when you feel resistance, breathe. That's always good advice for anything. Breathe. Ask yourself, why is this so important to me? And one of my favorites is, would I rather be right or would I rather be healed? And of course, sometimes the little kid within us is stamping the foot and saying, I want to be right. But really, healing is what is really needed. That's what we're really wanting. So only in acceptance is there a possibility of moving forward in a new way. If you think of this, another way to think of it, just as logical, is you need to know where you are in order to go somewhere. If you want to go to Montreal and start heading south, it's going to take you a long, long time to get there. But so that's why we look at the human level, at the relative level of what's going on for us. What's happening? What's happening in my life? And then tell the truth so that I can make the right course corrections to go the direction that I've decided to go. The Prosperity Plus 2 folks were studying Genevieve Barron's tiny little book, Your Invisible Power. Thanks, Reverend Karen. It just went out of my mind for a second. It's tiny, it's 90 pages, and it's packed full. And one of the things she says, and it's just so easy to remember, if you're heading towards something, she says, then take action quickly, calmly, confidently, and leaving no stone unturned. Quickly, calmly, confidently, and leaving no stone unturned. So if you're feeling unrest and you want to feel peaceful, then the moment is to quickly, calmly, confidently speak a word of peace. Tell yourself the truth about who is creating your life, which is put your hands on your heart. I am. That's right. Thank you, because it's not Heather that's creating your life. You are. I'm creating my life. Okay. And see the absolute truth. So in the absolute, if we're looking at accepting what is, then we look at it completely differently. See the spiritual truth in the human experience. We look for the Buddha nature or the God nature within people. And underlying any human condition or experience is the spiritual truth or reality. Notice the capital R in the word reality. That means it doesn't stand for facts. It stands for God truth. When we accept what is real rather than what is not, we can allow our human condition to be what it is without fear of being stuck or trapped in it. Because beyond the human condition is this absolute truth. Love is, wholeness is, peace is, beauty is. Ernest Holmes says, the quote I really wanted to, I couldn't find, so I'll just tell you that quote. What Holmes says in Love and Law and in other books is, don't be fooled by conditions, and don't use this science to settle for what you do not want. Do not use this science, the science of mind, the principle, to settle for conditions that you don't want in your life. Now, do you understand what I just said? Yeah. Because we get to that place, well, I'm just accepting what is. And I'm in process of creating what I do want. I see people out in front of me who've already done this many times. They've done it in their careers. They've done it you have done it in careers. You've done it in health. You've done it in relationships. So not being stuck in a condition and saying, oh, well, it is what it is. We have to bring compassion to everything. And this is what Ernest says about compassion. We can have the understanding of divine compassion. We can have no understanding of divine compassion unless we ourselves first exercise compassion. The very judgment by which we judge others becomes a self-judgment. It is as if the law of life were giving back to each one of us exactly what we have projected into it, as though everything that goes out from us must again return by a law of action and reaction. That's in his little book, Help for Today. The very judgment by which we judge others becomes a self-judgment. It is as if the law of life were giving back to each one of us exactly what we have projected into it. Well, that is what's happening. That is what's happening. So today, more than ever before, we're really called to stand in the truth of our being, that we're creative beings, and we're choosing to create a life that is worthy of us. So our love is love and law. Throughout the textbook, Ernest says this, and so often we just look at the law, but it's also love. It's also saying that the presence that we are is divine love, unconditioned and unconditional. And that means that there's capacity within us and wisdom within us to heal whatever is before us, and particularly within ourselves. We can choose to let those emotions into our life for more than 90 seconds, or we can take that knowledge and say, nope, next. So last week, during Ed's wonderful concert, he shared with us as his, I think it was his last song, that he had written a song based on the Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Taylor Coleridge. And then he quoted this. And this is so Coleridge, that if you know the poem, you know that what happened in the poem is the mariner got spooked because the albatross wouldn't leave, and so he shot the albatross. And then he suffered all sorts of things because he had shot this bird that actually was a magical bird, but no matter what, it was a bird. It was life. And he had no reason to shoot it. And then the sea became filled with all of these things that he found repulsive, all of these slimy things. And that's all he could see. And that is what happens to us when we get into that dark place. We just see the slimy, ugly things and nothing else. And what happened was he finally saw those ugly things as being beautiful because it was the only thing moving. Everything else had died. And when he saw it as beautiful, he prayed within himself. He had a connection, and the albatross fell off. It had been tied around his neck. He couldn't remove it, and now it fell off. And what he learned was this: he prayeth best who loveth best all things, both great and small, for the dear God who loveth us, he made and loveth all. It's just another way of saying my favorite quote. For selfish reasons alone, we cannot afford to hate, to judge, to criticize, or find fault in any way. of anyone, for the God of love cannot hear the prayer of the one who fails to love. So today is a day to love unconditionally. First, yourselves, then each other, then the rest of the world. Anita just got back from a self-realization fellowship convocation, and I have a friend in that who taught me many years ago when I was going through great pain because someone else had abandoned me. So you can see that it wasn't that great, but I thought it was great. At the time, it was the worst thing possible. And I shared with her what was going on. She said, "Oh, I'm so mad at him. That was just horrible. But we need to pray for him, the highest and best prayer." And I thought, what? We need to pray for him, the highest and best prayer? The prayer he deserves is, "Get lost, you jerk." But she knew better. She said, no, when someone injures you, you need to pray the highest and best prayer for them, for their highest and best good. But she told me the truth. She said, "I'm so mad I can't do it, so I'm going to ask my husband to do it." Well, we can do that. If we're stuck in those emotions, we can go to a practitioner, a minister, a friend, and say, "Can you pray for me, for this person that I can't let go of my feelings about, so that that person can be blessed, so that I can experience unconditional love." See, we're all connected. The song I really wanted for meditation was, "There is only one of us. In your eyes, it's me I see. There is only one of us. You are my reflection. There is only one." When we resist, what we resist becomes hard and sharp. And like this illustration, we don't need to settle. I've already told you the Buddha quote. So allow your love and compassion to grow. You're the only one that can do that. Start with yourself, and if there's someone or something you're mad at, start with them. If there's an institution that you feel has let you down, start with them. Okay. One last quote from Ernest. He says, "It is impossible for you to receive that which your mind refuses to accept. If you desire to receive more, you need to consciously develop the ability to mentally encompass it. You make your life mean little and limit its possibilities when you refuse to accept the whole gift of God. As you open your consciousness to a greater receptivity of the divine, to an enlarged concept of the good that can flood your experience, you will take on a new and wonderful meaning. Life will take on a new and wonderful meaning." That's from Ernest's book, Thoughts Are Things. So just take a breath. So today, as we're accepting what is, accept the spiritual truth of it. Accept that no matter what it looks like, God is in it, God is it, and that which no longer serves you can leave, can change, can go away, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're going to pray.
Be still and know that you are God. Be
Be still and know that you are. Be still and know that you are God. Be still and know. Believe and know that we are God. Believe and know that we are. Believe and know that we are God. Believe and know. Be still and know that you are God. Be still and know that you are. Be still and know that you are God. Be still and know.
In this holy moment of right now, I remind myself that there is God and absolutely nothing else. That this one is unconditioned and unconditional love. It is divine mind, and it is in and through and as all life, everywhere present at all times. And so I speak this word to see the truth, no matter what is going on the outer, to remember that this one power imbues all creation, is within all creation and all beings. And by knowing that, life is lifted up. So I speak this word in the first person for myself and for each one here. And this is what I know. I know that I am that place of creativity, of newness, of new ideas, of wholeness. I am that I am. And I know that in this moment, that creative flow fills me up with wisdom, with joy, with grace, and with love, that there is no other thing that can enter my consciousness except by my permission. All is good, all is God, all is well. In this holy moment of right now, I remind myself that I am the wholeness, I am the well-being, I am the presence and power, that my physical body is an expression of the divine and is therefore in perfect harmony with the pattern of life within itself. That every cell, every tissue, every function, every fiber is filled with that truth. And I know that that means that life is flowing through me as perfect circulation, perfect assimilation, perfect elimination. And furthermore, I know that I am love. And that means my heart is open to the goodness and the wholeness and the life around me and in me. That my love is not dependent on anything outside myself, but is simply given freely to all. I see all as lovable and loving, and knowing that I am lovable and loving. And furthermore, I know that not only am I the love that God is, I am that abundance that is the divine, that financial freedom, that awareness that there is more than enough. What I know for myself, I know for each and every other person. I know that life is filled with that greatness and goodness of God. And I know for each person who is hurting here in the United States or anywhere around the world, comfort, compassion, care, connection. I know that each one is drawing to himself or herself exactly what is needed to be uplifted, to be reminded of that inner truth. And for those who find the need for hatred, I know for each one that that presence within is within each one. And it is being healed. And it's doing the healing work, whether we can see it or not. God is all there is. Divine mind, divine life is flowing through all beings. I know that each one of us is safe, whole, complete, and perfect, loved and beloved. And knowing that this is so, I simply place this word in the action of law with gratitude and thanksgiving. Thank you, God. And so it is.
Thank you so much, Reverend Heather. And please welcome back Jennifer Trevor.
I don't know if John Mayer is a Buddhist. I don't know. But this song that he wrote to me speaks of having an open heart to a truth that needs to be spoken. When I used to listen to it, I thought of it as sharing with somebody something I need to say, but I think it has a lot to do with just being still and listening to truth come from you. So it repeats a lot. If you want to close your eyes and treat this song like a meditation, I invite you to do that, or you can watch me treat it like a meditation.
Take all of your wasted honor, every little past frustration. Take all of your so-called problems, better put them in quotations, and say what you need to say. 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 You're walking like a one-man army, living with the shadows in your head. You're playing out the same old moments, knowing you'd be better off instead. If you could only say what you need to say. 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 Have no fear for giving in. Have no fear for giving over. You've got to know that in the end, it's better to say too much than never to say what you need to say again. Even if your hands are shaking and your faith is broken, even as the eyes are closing, do it with a heart wide open. Say what you need to say. 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 Say what you need to. Say what you need to. What you need to say. Say 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 what you need to say.
Jennifer Trevor, thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
If the stewards would please come forward, it's time for us to share our gifts, our tithes, our offerings. Let's read our vision statement first. Surrounded by a beautiful natural garden, our new spiritual home feels sacred, joyful, peaceful, welcoming, spacious, and airy, with plenty of room for individual expression and community growth. And now repeat after me. Divine love as me blesses and consecrates all that I am, all that I have, all that I give. I give with love. I love to give. And so it is.
This song sounds melancholy, but it's called Happiness. So it's a song from the musical Scrooge, and in this part of the show, it's the Christmas past, and Scrooge has gone and sees himself as a young man in love with a girl he was engaged to, Belle. And so she is singing the song to him and about how happy she is. The reason it's in a minor key is because he's regretting what he didn't hang on to when he was young. So we'll have the opportunity to change that for ourselves.
They say happiness is a thing you can't see, a thing you can't touch. I disagree. Happiness is standing beside me. I can see him, he can see me. Happiness is whatever you want it to be. Happiness is a high hill. Will I find it? Yes, I will. Happiness is a tall tree. Can I climb it? Watch and see. They say happiness is the folly of fools. Pity poor me, one of the fools. Happiness is smiling upon me, walking my way, sharing my day. Happiness is whatever you want it to be. Happiness is a bright star. Are we happy? Yes, we are. Happiness is a clear sky. Give me wings and let me fly. Let me fly. For happiness is whatever you want it to be.
Thank you. Thank you. And we're going to get those kidlets in now.
This little